Hey, brothers and sisters, I wanted to share with you some scripture today, and it's one that's probably very familiar to you, particularly this time of year. We hear it quite often from Isaiah, the 9th chapter. The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of deep darkness, a light has dawned. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be upon his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the greatness of his government and peace there will be no end. People walking in deep darkness have seen a great light. And at the time Isaiah wrote this prophecy, the people of Israel were indeed in deep darkness. The northern kingdom had been destroyed, the people taken off into exile, and the southern kingdom was under siege, and soon they too would be taken off into exile. And Isaiah promises that God will act. Unto us a child will be born, Prince of Peace. Thing is, the people of Israel didn't want a Prince of Peace. They wanted a mighty warrior that would come in and destroy the enemies of Israel. But instead, God sends his son, a baby, lying in a manger in a feed trough. I think that's the most beautiful image ever. The very bread of life lying in a feed trough for animals. It's not what the people wanted, and unfortunately, many of them walking in that darkness, when the light came, they completely missed it. They were looking for lightning bolts and thunder, and instead, God sends a little baby. God came in the form of a helpless baby in a nowhere backwater town in a nowhere country, so that God could share with us in our suffering, so that God could understand and help us in all of our hurts and troubles. And it shows us that sometimes God acts above and beyond what it is we think we want. And Jesus grew, and he began his ministry, and he says, you want to see what God looks like? Look at me. You want to see how God thinks, how God acts? Tell them what you see. I'm a mirror for the face of God. In Cambridgeshire, England, there is a cathedral called the Ely Cathedral. It was built some 900 years ago. And on the land it was built, the way it was built, it had to be very narrow and very long. And when it was finished, they painted a mural on the ceiling like was done in a lot of old cathedrals. The problem was the ceilings were so high and the ceiling was so narrow that you couldn't see it without craning your neck up very uncomfortably. One day a priest came and figured out that if he put a mirror on the floor, the people could see the images that were painted of God without having to crane their necks uncomfortably. The mirror of the floor became a mirror for pictures and images of God. Jesus was that picture, that image of God, and we too, once we have brought that baby Jesus into our lives, become the mirrors of the image of Christ. You were born in the image of God, friends, and you can be a mirror for that God. Friends, we're waiting. Israelites waited for centuries for that baby. We wait and wait and wait for things we want in this world. One study said we spend an average of 300 hours a year waiting. Well, the wait will soon be over. This time of Advent, we've been waiting for the celebration of the birth of that baby, and the wait is almost over. In a week, we will celebrate the birth of the child, Jesus. And let us celebrate this year the celebration in knowing that when the temple of Israel was destroyed, when Isaiah was making these prophecies, we became the temple of God. We are the very dwelling place of God. Now let us go into the world and be the mirrors for Christ. Until next time, friends, may the Lord bless and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift his countenance upon you and give you peace. Go in peace, friends. Till next time.